in here. All right, guys. So, for those of you that are new, a few years ago, we had a guest speaker come in. Who is his name's Craig Siegel, and he was. I started following him through a person that a lot of you know, David Meltzer, and he's a partner, a mentor of mine, my personal coach. Typically, whoever he is in line with and doing stuff with, these are very, very, very high performers. So I started following Craig, a few years ago, and I mean, within that less than a year, seeing absolute amazing growth in his podcast and everything, his brand. I mean, you name it, delivering great content. So we brought him in, and he literally rocked the house. After that call was done, multiple people were reaching out. Man, I learned so much from that. They were, as Craig would say, on fire. And then I just started following him ever since. And just when I thought that I seen amazing growth within the year that I followed him, he pretty much 10x'd it within the next year. And now Craig being a global speaker, a globally known performance coach. I've seen literally anybody who's anybody in not even just the entrepreneurial space, TV, I mean, you name it, has been on his podcast that a lot of you follow and listen to now. And Craig is also very exciting news, which he's going to talk about, coming out with a new book. And the reason why I'm very excited about this is, I was speaking to one of our members yesterday, but I was just always asking, like, what more do you guys want? And outside of just inspirational in business growth stories, it's all about getting very tactical so you guys can actually execute. Start implementing things today, right after this call, to change your life, to change your mindset, to change your health, to change your habits. And the thing I like about Craig is this book and everything he's about is all about tactics that you guys can literally use on this call and immediately off the call. So, Craig, welcome back, my friend. I am very excited and grateful that you're back in the harvest. And man, welcome back, brother. And thank you for coming on here at 7 a.m. to impact my friends, my family in the harvest like you did last time. Even some new folks too, man. So thank you and good morning, Craig. How are you, brother?
Good morning, brother. Ooh, that was a nice introduction. I'm usually the one dishing them out. That felt good. I received that. There's no place in the world that I would rather be right now than with all of y'all. Full disclosure, I'm going to challenge some of you. We're going to have a lot of fun. It's not going to be a keynote speech. It's going to be really interactive. It's going to be an experience. So right out the gate, if you guys are with me right now and you're ready to get nuts for the next 50 minutes, let me see you right. I dig in the chats. Let's get this party started. Love it, love it, love it. Oh, yes. Yes. Okay, guys, we're going to have so much fun. We're going to talk about a few different things today. No big deal. We're going to talk about a little mindset. I see some familiar faces. It's good to see all of you. We're going to talk about 5 really powerful things to let go of. We're going to talk about a little bit of personal branding. And I'll give you guys a 2-second background on just as to who the hell I am, just so you have a little bit of context. I imagine everybody in some capacity can relate to wanting to reinvent themselves or wanting to think and play bigger or wanting to pivot or change something. Yes, if that's true at some point, drop a yes in the chats. Love it. Okay. So for me, guys, prior to the pandemic, I had spent 13 years on Wall Street. And even though I had my own business and I was making money, and I attribute that to be successful at that season of life, just to be clear, making money is absolutely a part of success, but it's not the whole thing. Found myself in a really dark season. I had just got out of a toxic relationship. My best friend, my dad, had just gotten diagnosed with cancer. He's still battling. And even though I had my own business, wasn't exactly putting a dent in the universe. On Mondays, I was the type of cat that was looking forward to the weekend. Ironically enough, now Monday is my favorite day. But that's just what it was. And I started drinking more than I'd like to admit, but I didn't stay there long. I think I was just trying to escape my reality. I'm not sure if I found running or running found me, but I had never been a runner before. I like to lift weights. And I started running all these marathons. And what that season showcased to me is I could do some pretty hard things and I can overcome and I could build confidence. And I started to feel good about myself that I can tap into a new arena with no experience and have success. Why? And here's a little nugget for you guys, because whatever arena or wherever you guys have been successful in the past in some capacity, it wasn't actually the arena or the endeavor that made you successful. It was you. And those characteristics, those habits, those traits that make you successful are transferable. So I started to think bigger. I started to get a better frequency, but I was still at my job. Then fast forward the pandemic, bang, talk about a global awakening. For me personally, I looked at this as an historic opportunity to reassess, to reinvent. And I just made myself available to receive those creative divine downloads and said to myself, if not now, then when? And it occurred to me just like that when I got quiet and I blocked out the interference, I blocked out the noise, and I just connected. I've been obsessed with personal development 15 years. I've been studying like a lunatic. Neuro-linguistic programming, Kabbalah, emotional intelligence, historic figures, law of attraction. I realized at that moment, this is more than just a passion for me. This is my passion. This is my purpose. This is my calling. It's my assignment. Literally the next day on a run in Central Park, it came to me. I thought of my brand, and this is going to be key because I'm going to touch on personal branding in a little bit. CLS, Cultivate Lasting Symphony. Always like that word symphony. I'm a strange cat. It's also a play on my initials, Craig Siegel. And then I came home that day and I took my phone and I went like this. And I just made a video talking to myself and created like a mission statement, right? Because there's a big difference between a vision and a dream. And guys, let's drop some nuggets in the chats, and we're going to do a nice giveaway at the end to have some fun. Whoever has the best takeaway nugget from today. So there's a big difference between a vision and a dream. A lot of people have dreams. I put together a crazy vision. I didn't want to be Tony Robbins. I wanted to be the first Craig Siegel. But if you're going to think, you might as well think big. So I put together a 10-lane highway, right? I don't want to rely upon one thing. The face of personal development, the apple of personal development, if you will. Sorry if any of you have an Android. So one lane would be speaking all over the world. I'm going to be in Toronto later today, speaking with our mutual friend Meltzer at an event. One lane would be coaching, a community, a podcast, a book deal, sponsorships, and so forth. And then I reverse engineered this vision. And I said, okay, well, what's step one? And then it occurred to me, I need to start building a personal brand. At this time, I had no connections, no celebrity friends, no followers. In fact, I had 300 Instagram followers, friends and family, which you can argue is less than zero. Then I had that one moment of, and I don't want to call it imposter syndrome because I know it's very trendy these days. I don't like the word syndrome. I don't want to give it credit. But I had that moment of, can I do this? And then I considered what ended up being a pivotal moment for me. And I'd love for someone to jot this in the chat. And that is the COI, the cost of inaction. And for me, the very thought of choosing to go back after lockdown and be miserable and underachieve and not utilize my God-given gifts was death. So just like that, I transformed nervousness into stepping into something new to excitement. And I started putting out content, the universe liked that, and it exploded over the last 2.5 years. I say very humbly, as Devin was attesting to me. One of the biggest podcasts on the planet, sponsored by Mark Cuban, speaking all over the world. The record first-time author book deal, which drops August 15th, the Reinvention formula from Wiley, all the things. And the point of that story is to want to give you guys some context for those of you that might not have been familiar as to why you should care what I say, but also just to let you know, because a lot of you wrote in the chats that maybe you're in a reinvention season, or maybe you are looking to think and play a little bit bigger in something. And I think there's a big misconception that change takes long, and it does not. It comes down to a choice. For me, for so long, I was choosing to invest in this story, in this movie, if you will, that this was it for me. I'm a Wall Street guy, I'd make a certain amount of money. I'd never really be happy. I wouldn't find a true love or anything like that. And I stayed there, and I was repeating this pattern. And then during the lockdown, when it got really quiet and I was able to block that interference and just connect. I know a lot of you meditate, whatever's good for you. I connected. It occurred to me that I had a choice. We all have a choice. And I can choose a different story, a different movie, if you will. And instead of thinking about what can go wrong, I started thinking about, well, what can go right? How good can I stand it? And that's when I was able to put CLS together. So if there's anything that you guys want to do right now, or you feel like a tug at your soul and your heart, you absolutely have to lean in. You have to get in the damn arena. You have to be available. And if you lean into that, sometimes all it takes is 20 seconds of courage. But if you lean in, that's when great things begin to happen. And if it's not the thing, most likely it'll be the thing that leads to the thing. But you'll never know if you're paralyzed by fear of stepping into the unknown. And just to be clear, it might be the scariest thing that you ever do, to try something new, to put yourself out there. But it's the most rewarding thing you can ever do. That's when you find your true authentic self and doors begin to open and the right people begin to gravitate towards you guys. So that's what I've been up to over the last couple of years. And as I like to say, and this is a good nugget too, guys, someone throw this one in the chats. It doesn't take time. It just takes alignment. And think about this for a second. Told you I was going to challenge you guys this morning. How many of us are walking around feeling like 80% good mentally, or 70% good, or 60% good? That's not okay. Like if your body felt 60% good or 70% good, would you not go see a doctor? Of course you would. You'd say 30% of me feels like shit, for lack of better words. What's going on? I need to get checked out. So we should be operating at feeling 90, 95% good every day. And the way to achieve that is to be in alignment, to love what you're doing, to have a career to die for, to be around the right people that are on your frequency, right? And if you're not feeling good, utilize that as feedback from the universe saying something's not in alignment right now. And you know it. You know when like you're at a job or it just doesn't set your soul on fire anymore, or maybe you're in a relationship and maybe you guys just aren't on the same page anymore, or there's a party or certain friends that you've been hanging around with and you feel like maybe you've outgrown them. And not like there's anything wrong with them. You're just spreading your wings and doing your thing. That's feedback, guys, and you got to lean in. And the best way to live a life of abundance and to have it all is to get into alignment, whatever that means for you. So I'm not 100% sure what all of you do on the call in terms of a career. If you guys want, you feel frisky, you could drop in the chats what you do. I'd love to find out a little bit more information. But ultimately, you want to wake up every single day on fire for life, with a zest for life.
Craig, can I just highlight one thing that you did?
Sure.
You know, when he was talking about, this is the stuff that I pay attention to, because it's all these little things that matter, all these little things that we don't realize. And he said, when he mentioned imposter syndrome, he said, you know what? I don't like saying syndrome because that gives that power, right? You guys, sometimes the stories that we tell ourselves, you know, well, I suffer from depression, or I have anxiety, like these things that you tell yourself. Be very careful how you say it, because you give it power. You make it a tidal wave to try and ride over. And when you do exactly what he just said, like, you know, I don't call it that. I don't call it I have anxiety. I don't call it I have this. I don't, like, no, because you're giving it power. These little things that you tell yourself, or that whatever it may be, just be very conscious with how you talk about things. Do not give the wrong things power. That was very important what he just did there. And I don't want you guys to miss that, whether it's how you talk about your business, whether it's how you talk about your habits, how you talk about yourself, you name it. That's very, very, very important, Craig. So I just want to make sure I share that.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. And remember, like, you get as far as worthy as you feel in this world, right? Like, if you believe you can do things, then you will. And if you don't, then you won't. And one of the best ways to begin to to think and play much bigger and to remove limitations is to be very conscious of the language that you tell yourself. So I'm really glad that Devin wanted to reemphasize that. And it's so important, guys. And it's something that you can practice and start today by being a little bit more gentle and kind to yourself, and even push yourself. Like when I first started speaking, when I started CLS, I had no experience on stage. So I started like walking around before an event like a lunatic, calling myself a gladiator, saying, I'm a gladiator. This is my damn arena. And just to be clear, I wasn't as good as I am now when I first started, but you got to give yourself permission to be less than perfect and step into it. But instead of being nervous and like having anxiety, I was confident, not cocky, just confident. And it all starts with the words that you tell yourself every single day when you wake up. This is going to be a great day. I'm on fire. I can't be stopped. I am worthy. I'm going to put myself out there, or the latter. So I'm just reading some of the comments, guys. I'm just getting an idea for what you guys do and so forth. Darby Network Marketing, Isogenics. I just spoke to Isogenics company 2 nights ago. Similar call like this. It was also a great group. Hell yeah. Andrew loves what he does. Love it. Okay, good, guys. Podcaster, Tyler. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, cool. Guys, we're going to shift gears for a second. I prepared something cool for you guys. I want to talk about 5 things to let go of. You see, most people, they want to give you something to add. Like, oh, if you want to be successful, let's add this. Let's add this. But what about letting go of certain things? Sometimes we have addition by subtraction. Okay. So I'm going to give you guys 5 things to let go of. And then also, guys, I'll drop my cell phone in the chat like I did last time. So the best nugget texted to that, we'll do a free giveaway and we'll send a couple signed copies of the book. So 5 things to let go of. Number 1, letting go of taking things personally. Trust me when I tell you guys, if you want to be the GOAT in life, whatever it is that you do, the greatest of all time, I imagine all of us are high achievers in here. That's why you're surrounded by Devin. If you want to be great, you can't be triggered by every little thing. You can't throw stones at every little dog that barks. So letting go of taking things personally, especially if you're in sales or stuff of that nature, it's on to the next one. And also, Devin mentioned one of the biggest podcasts on the world that we have. Trust me when I tell you, in the beginning, when I was starting this out, not every jug, as I like to call them, juggernaut, was dying to get on my show right out the gate. But I was persistent and I stayed the course and I held myself to a very high standard. And eventually we would land 1 or 2, Elisa Silverstone, Suzanne Summers, Brian Dawkins, whomever. And now all of a sudden we had leverage and would use that for the next ones. But in the beginning, I didn't take no's personally. My thought process was, they don't know me yet. No problem. I look forward to when you guys are coming back over here. I'm just going to continue to marry the process. Nothing personal. So that's really important, guys, especially if you want to be a really high achiever. Can't be triggered or take things personally. Number 2, big one, letting go of what others think. Ooh. How many of us need to work on that a little bit? Christine, it's great to see you. I can't tell you guys how many people come to me to coach them and they're like, oh, I want to do what you've done over the last couple of years. But when I tell them, okay, and we're going to talk about personal branding in a little bit, in regards to putting a personal brand together and building that and really doubling down, they care what people think, how they look, if they're going to look silly, or what are people going to judge them. I'm like, how are you going to get to that next level if you care what everybody thinks? And just to be clear, guys, I want to be very responsible right now. As human beings, we're actually wired to care what people think. We just want to be selective. We want to care what the right people think. Let's not take advice from people sitting in the cheap seats, if you know what I mean. Because anybody that's actually in the arena, any gladiator, is never going to judge or hate on you. And I talk about this a lot in the book, guys, and I never publicly spoke about this before. Hands. The whole chapter on this, actually. If you don't clap when you see others win, you're missing the point, and here's why. Even if you don't like someone, but you see them having success and doing well, I challenge you to start thinking of it like, I see you, game recognized game. What they're really doing is they're showcasing what's possible, right? So many times I see people that want to start, be an entrepreneur, personal brand, anything really. And I often hear this excuse. Let me know if you've heard this one. It's a saturated market, right? Or it's a very noisy market. There's a lot of influencers out there, whatever the case may be. Two things I'll say to that. Number one, there's always room for the best. And number two, if it's a saturated market or there's a lot of noise out there, it just showcases that there's a big market for it. And if you see others winning, they're showcasing what's possible. So you put in the work, you work on your craft, it's only a matter of time before you can get there or even surpass them. So don't care what others think, guys. We can't get to that next level if we fear judgment. Essentially, and I know this is cliche, but it's true. What other people think about you is really none of your business. Stay in your lane, keep on compounding, marry the process, divorce the outcome, and great things will happen. But don't ever not begin or get dejected by the fear of what someone else might be thinking of you. We're better than that, and we don't have time for that.
There's always room for the best. What a line. That is incredible.
Yeah, hell yeah. You guys digging this so far? You ready for number 3? Having fun? Good energy? Good. Good. I love it. Okay. Number 3. Ooh, this is a big one. Letting go of needing to be perfect. I hear so many people say, I'm just waiting for the perfect time, or, you know, when the market turns around, or when I have the perfect content, or whatever the case may be. Spoiler alert, right? There will never be a perfect time to get married, have a kid, start a business, approach a stranger, start coaching, reach out to a mentor, write a book. There's never the perfect time, guys, right? But something that I have really made a life out of recently is that clarity follows action, right? So you get in the damn arena, you start putting yourself out there, and then clarity begins to come. There is no perfect time. And I'm going to give you guys a perfect example of this. And this is me being totally vulnerable with you guys. The last CLS Live event that we threw in Manhattan, in New York City, was a few months back. It was a huge success. Oversold tickets, which is a great problem to have. And this is just between us. When I announced the event, right, I literally put it together on a whiteboard with my fiance. She was writing, I was speaking. So a lot of great ideas come to fruition, right? So I put this together, I reverse engineered it. And when I made the announcement that we were available for people to purchase tickets and so forth, I said, we're going to have 2 phenomenal guest speakers there aside from me. And it's going to be an unbelievable event, this, that, and the other thing. We'll do a VIP dinner, quality Italian, rent out the restaurant in New York City. I didn't have the 2 speakers lined up, but I knew that it's only a matter of time. So I put it out there. People started signing up. They got so excited about it. And then 2 of my good friends and huge speakers in the space reached out to me the very day that I publicly announced it, said, Craig, I saw you throwing a live event. Is there anything that I could do to support it? I'd love to come add value, contribute. Bang, 2 speakers lined up. But I didn't have that clarity before I announced it. Because if I was waiting for the perfect time, I would have never launched that thing. And that event was a huge success for us. Huge. So I'm not saying to wing your life, but I am saying is give yourself permission to be less than perfect. And trust me, guys, Devin was saying beautiful things about me in the beginning and very humbled and grateful by it. You want to go back to the first pieces of content from CLS about 2.5 years ago, you'll have a good chuckle. My content was not perfect, but now I look back and one thing that I love to say is if you're not embarrassed with who you were a year ago, you're not growing, right? So if I was waiting for a videographer or any of that stuff, CLS would have never been born, would have never taken off. Give yourself permission to be less than perfect. I think that's a big one. Okay. This is probably the biggest, but you guys can tell me what you think. Number 4. And guys, we're going to do some giveaways at the end. We're going to have a lot of fun. If you're not already in the free texting community, I encourage you to join. It's fun. We do inspirational text throughout the week, and we'll do a giveaway for the best nugget texted. Number 4, letting go of trying to be something you're not. Ooh. I spent 35 years in that frequency. Anyone else? Just curious. Yeah. Letting go of trying to be something you're not. For so long prior to the pandemic, before I reinvented myself, I was portraying myself. Number one, I was a people pleaser. I'm a recovering people pleaser now. I was showing up at the world based upon what I thought the world wanted to associate me as. This guy on Wall Street had some nice things, whatever the case may be. I had a pretty girlfriend, although she was not in alignment. And I was miserable. And when I started CLS with no experience, no connections, no nothing, I made one promise to myself, one guarantee. Because there was no guarantee of success, right? But I made this one guarantee, guys. I said, for the first time in my life, I'm going to show up as the true, real, raw, authentic, strange, weird cat that I am. And I understand I'm not going to be for everybody. I don't even want to be. But the right people will gravitate, and life will act as a true, authentic filter. And the people that aren't aligned with my weirdness will go the other way, and that's okay. But at least if I failed at CLS, which I didn't think I would, because I'm pretty relentless, and I finally found my calling. If I failed, at least I would fail being myself. Isn't that what the world really wants to see, guys? They just want to see the real us. I mean, not even identical twins have the same fingerprints. We're all born unique, strange, weird, authentic. That's our superpower. And you know what's interesting? It's available to everybody. But I will say this. Letting go, trying to be something you're not, and actually showing up to the world as the real you will take more courage than anything you've ever done in your life. It can be scary. But once you get over that hump, it's so liberating. You have nothing to hide. And I'll give you an example. Did you guys ever see the movie 8 Mile with Eminem? Probably like an oldie now, but that's, we grew up with 8 Mile, Eminem. Darby's on fire. I don't know if you guys remember this, but at the end, in the very climatic rap battle, Eminem elects to go first on the mic, right? Which is weird. And basically, he just shreds himself to smithereens. All the skeletons in his closet, lays them out, does his thing, crushes it, and goes, "You have anything else to say? Go ahead," and drops the mic. And the guy, like the main event guy, had nothing else to say because Eminem was so authentic and showed all his cards. Like, what else can you possibly say that I don't really know about myself? I'm not perfect. I do have all these flaws, but I'm owning them. And the guy couldn't even speak. And so it was over and Eminem won. And that always stuck out to me. So authenticity is a superpower, and it's the only way to live life. And trust me when I tell you, when you start showing up authentic, the right opportunities, the right people, the right situations are going to manifest and gravitate towards the real you. I was so inauthentic for so long. I thought like my strangeness and my weirdness and all the things that make me who I am today were stuff I should hide. And ironically, when I finally leaned in to being myself, that's when the world began to see me. So I can't stress it enough, guys. Alan's on fire. Letting go of trying to be something you're not. And the last one, letting go of waiting for the right time goes hand in hand with letting go of needing to be perfect. Never the right time. Never the right time. Trust me. You just do it. And we figure shit out and we make stuff happen. Ooh, Hop's on fire.
He's walking too, and he just highlighted all that stuff. Good job, Hop. I see you out there.
Yeah. I love it.
Lots to learn from you, Craig. Lots to learn.
Love it, brother. So guys, there's never the perfect time. There's never a perfect time to write a book, to start a podcast, to put yourself out there, all the things. But clarity follows action. And that example I gave with the CLS Live event should really hit home. So this is never the perfect time, guys. You put yourself in the damn arena, and that's when great stuff begins to happen. Right? So from those 5 things, and there's probably no more important than others, but you know me, I love to engage and be interactive. I'm just curious which one of those guys really stuck out to you. I'd love to see you drop in the chats. Which one really resonated? Which one's something that you need to work on? And don't be shy.
I'll tell you right now, for me, is needing to be perfect, right? Even though I tell people perfection leads to procrastination, there are still things that I don't put out there because I personally don't think it's perfect. So I'm not doing what I tell people to do. And then waiting for the right time, I find myself, not all the time, but there's a lot of things that, if I'm being honest, that it's not the right time for this. And I just like put it on the back burner. So that's me being vulnerable with you guys. Those are some things. And remember, as you read this, guys, like your subconscious will talk to you, right? Do not ignore that. Like Craig said, do not be afraid of self-awareness, or else nothing will ever get fixed.
Yeah, 100%. And guys, I want to acknowledge you. I want to honor you guys right now. You guys are so engaged this morning, and it's beautiful to see. And this is what makes the best transfer of energy, when everyone's like a family, just engaging and so forth. And I'm just taking a second to read some of them before we continue. Letting go what others think. Great one, Alan. Waiting for the right time. Yeah. Yeah. Taking things personally. Yeah. Taking things personally. Waiting for the right time. Perfection. Love it. And guys, trust me. I look back now because as the legendary Steve Jobs once said, you can't connect the dots looking forwards, only backwards. The greatest developments and opportunities that have come to us over the last couple of years, and there have been many, I say very humbly, have come when I just took action and I didn't have it all figured out because I was available, right? Great things happen when you're available. And how are you to be available? By getting in the damn arena, putting yourself out there, right? Like going to an event, signing up for a course, working with a mentor, whatever the case may be. Start a side hustle, start speaking, write a book. You just do it. And then all of a sudden, one thing leads to the other. And then something great ends up coming from that. And then you look back and like, holy shit, thank God I took that inspired action. And sometimes, like I said, it just takes 20 seconds of courage. 20 seconds. You feel that tug and then you lean it. Bam. I don't take advice from people in the cheap seats. Love it, Kelly. All right, guys. I see many of you texting and joining the texting community. I love it. We're gonna send a signed book to the best nugget from today. And also, I wanted to ask you guys. It's 2023, and I cannot stress enough the importance and the opportunities that will come from building a personal brand. I'm curious, let me know in the chats right now, who is building a personal brand and who is not? Andrew. Love it, Jim. Oh, hell yeah. Okay, good. No surprise here. Devin attracts great people. So I want to tell you guys a little bit about the significance about building a personal brand. I thought this would be really relevant for today. and then we'll land the plane with some of the book stuff. My fiance and I just got a brand new puppy, by the way, a killer Shih Tzu, half Shih Tzu, half Poodle, and he's going nuts right now. He's usually sleeping at this time. He's going absolutely crazy. Lost his mind. But anyway. So in regards to personal brand, guys, people say to me all the time, like a lot of my friends in the space that you guys probably know, Ed Milet and so forth, even Dave that Devin mentioned, they've never seen someone start, build, and explode a personal brand in a short amount of time as I have, starting from scratch. And I'm very humbled by that. But one of the things that I want to do is give it back and let you guys know some of the things that really worked for me. And also, I talk a lot about this in the book. The reason why I'm so excited about the book is because, yes, reinvention, bouncing off a rock bottom mindset, but also sales skills, personal branding. It's like a hybrid of something I've never seen before. So I'm very passionate right now about building personal brand because I know what it's done for us. So in regards to building a personal brand, right? Couple things to think of right out the gate. And you guys are going to want to write these down too. Number one, you are the vibe. You are the energy. You are what people are attracted to. Right? And if you think about Apple, right, you probably associate that with Steve Jobs. He was attractive. Like, you know, he was over his meetings with the sweaters. When you think about like whether you like him or not, different conversation. When you think of like Tesla and all that stuff, you think of Elon Musk, right? He's these guys are the brand, or Richard Branson, if you will. These cats are the pulse of their brand. And yes, they have some pretty badass products too, right? But you are the vibe. So what I want to encourage you guys to do, because many of you said that you are building a personal brand, I cannot stress to you enough the opportunities and doors that this will open for you. 2 words: exist loudly. You got to put yourself out there. I imagine all of you are up to some pretty exciting and amazing things. But we need people to find out about it. People need to be able to connect with you. And if we're hiding or not being seen or not showing up, they don't have that opportunity. So remember, whether you're putting out content in social media and we can talk about some other strategies, but you are building the brand, it's not about us. It's about who we can help as we continue to add value. So anytime, like, let's just say you are building a brand on social media, which is a great platform these days, any platform. LinkedIn, I think, is very underrated. Instagram, obviously, Facebook, all the things. If you're ever feeling hesitation, like, oh, I don't know about this post, or I'm not feeling it today, it's not about you. It's about who can see it and get some value from it and who you can help. I can't tell you how many times I posted something, maybe it wasn't the biggest hit, and then I see someone like in the city and they're like, Craig, I've been following your journey. They never liked anything or engaged, one of those, which is totally fine because you're only ever going to see 10% of the people that are actually following it. And then like that post that you did about the COI, the cost of inaction, that resonated so much that I actually left my unfulfilling 9-to-5 and I stepped into entrepreneurship and I just made my first 6 figures or 7 figures or 6-figure months. Thank you so much for that. Stuff like that. So it's not about us, right? So you are the vibe, exist loudly. Okay. Now, obviously we could talk about aesthetics and stuff like that with building a brand, but I think that's a little bit less important. The 2 best ways to connect with your audience, and I just want to be clear, there is a huge difference, and this is very valuable, guys. Please digest this nugget. There's a very big difference between an audience and a community. An audience can be followers or most of the time fake followers and just metrics on social media. But a community is what you guys are in right now that Devin has, where you can interact and it's loyal and it's engaging and you can be intimate and it's a safe place and you can serve them. And those ride or dies will go with you forever. That's a huge difference. And the best way to create and have a really special connection with your audience or hopefully your community is to be very vulnerable and to be super authentic. That's what people are going to resonate with, right? And like for me, just to give you an example, like Superman, I'm a big comic book nerd. I can never really relate to Superman because I just, he's like an alien and I don't know. But Batman was my guy because essentially he's a billionaire who puts on his suit and fights crime. I always thought that was attainable. So you want to be able to relate to people in some capacity. Vulnerability and authenticity is the way to connect. So that means don't only showcase the wins, showcase some of the struggles, some of the setbacks, the adversity, right? I talk a lot about this in the book. Like when I was in my rock bottom a few years back, it was pretty dark for me, I'm not going to lie. And no, like I wasn't shot in war or I didn't have like my arm bitten off by a shark, but my pain was my pain. Just like everybody goes through a dark season. But that's been so relatable to people because everybody at some point is looking to get out of a dark season or reinvent and so forth. So vulnerability and authenticity is the best way to connect. And if you guys want to experiment, for those of you that do put out content or post stuff, even if you just have a company and you have a website and there's a section says about me, I encourage you to be a little bit more vulnerable there. Talk about your journey, how you got started, some of the struggles that you overcame to make the company where it is today. And for those of you that are putting out content and so forth, be vulnerable, showcase. I wasn't having a great morning, blah, blah, blah. I utilized this strategy. I overcame it. And then I transformed my day. Just an example. I'll never forget 2 years ago. Has it been 2 years? Something like that. I was at a big speaking engagement and I got injured playing football on the beach with the boys. Never a good idea. Came home. It was misdiagnosed as a sprained ligament. There was a tumor in my foot. Make a long story short, I got surgery, got it taken out. It was benign, thank God. But I remember just talking about it with my community when I was waiting for results to see if it was cancerous. And I was like, I don't know really what to say, but this is what's going on. It's a tough situation, but I'm going to stay positive and focus on what I can control. And that moment really strengthened the deep connection between me and my community. And came back benign, ended up running the New York City Marathon a month later with no physical training. And that's all great. But that moment of uncertainty where I was really opening up my heart, being vulnerable, that connected with the audience like never before. And we never looked back. And I needed that at that time. So vulnerability and authenticity, guys, are the cheat codes for building a brand. Now, what are some of the benefits about building a brand? Where do I begin? CLS, our brand, has created such momentum and such a buzz with what we're doing that all the greatest opportunities that are coming my way right now, specifically like business opportunities and so forth, are coming because people want a piece of the brand. And I'll give you an example. I imagine many of you know Ed Milet. He's a friend of mine. He had a huge success with his book with Wiley Publishing, The Power of One More. And Wiley was looking to replicate that success. So I didn't even have a lit agent for a book deal, which from what I understand happens never. Usually like you have the script, you pitch it, 10 publishers, 9 say no, maybe 1 says yes. Wiley came to us because of the momentum of the brand. And then I renegotiated, it's no secret, a record first-time author book deal, and the rest is history. Comes out August 15th. But because the brand has buzz, people are now approaching me with business opportunities that don't even have anything to do with CLS. They just want to get involved. And so that's what a personal brand can do for you. Because as you begin to build a community around whatever it is that you're doing, maybe you want to reinvent yourself or pivot or change careers at some point or anything, you're not starting from scratch because you have that personal brand and you are the vibe. And that's what people gravitate towards. If you're with me so far, drop an I dig in the chat. Devin, I love your group, brother. Love being back here. Yeah. So guys, we talked about a couple things today. I wanted to come in this morning and get a little weird. And I think it's so important that so many people want to add things, add this to be successful, add this. But what about letting go of the shit that's holding us back? Sometimes just that. And I didn't talk about that. I wanted to tell the story, but probably not got enough times. So I'll come back for you guys. But sometimes what we really have to let go of is this false identity that's bullshit and it's not true. The identity that I had was that I was that Wall Street cat. I'd only make a certain amount of money. I'd never be happy. And I was an icky industry. It occurred to me that that was a choice. And I let go of that identity. I forgave myself for not being where I hoped I'd been at 35 years young, right in the beginning of the pandemic. And I said, none of that matters. I'm letting go of the identity. I'm going to create a new one, almost like an artist working on clay. All that matters is what I do next. And that's when CLS was born. And the rest, as they say, is history. So these are a lot of the tools and principles, guys, that I talk about inside the reinvention formula. Specifically, a lot of the different technologies like NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, how to revamp your mindset, how to tangibly remove limitations and false identities, how to step into your power, your true authentic self, how to get clarity on what your purpose is, how to marry that with your passion and unapologetically make a lot of money, sales skills, personal branding, and everything in between. And we get really dark in there. And then also, we have a book launch team. Basically, the book comes out August 15th, guys. And for anyone that pre-orders a copy, and so many have, I'm so humbled by it, we have a private group where we're basically reading the book before it comes out, and we're doing bonuses, giveaways, spreading the message, and you get access to the biggest virtual event that we've ever thrown with huge guest speakers, which will be the week of August 15th. I'd love to have you guys a part of that. And you guys can talk to Devin about that after. I'll drop the link here in the chat. But what I wanted to do before we wrapped up is to open it up for you guys for a little bit of Q&A and any questions at all about anything that we discussed or anything. This is a moment to take full advantage of it. And the only way you lose is if you don't ask. So I wanted to turn over to you guys.
Love it. Now you guys can raise your hand, direct message me. I did see one question from Tyler. It could have been answered already, but what is your strategies to get guests on your podcast? Outside of being relentlessly consistent with trying to leverage the past speakers to build up.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I'm not on chapter 1 anymore with getting guests on the podcast. So let me tell you where I'm at now, and let me tell you what I did when I was at chapter 1. Now, very humbly, all the biggest guests in the space are coming to us for the most part because there's a lot of momentum behind the show. And typically, like if they want to promote something, let's just say like someone has a new book coming out or a new course or a new movie or a new show, they'll come to us as one of those big shows, kind of like a talk show. And I'm very grateful to have gotten to this point. There's still guests that I would like to have that are not coming. For example, I'm going to put the intention out there right now. One of the biggest guests that is a dream guest for me that I really want to have on the show, that I've just always been a fan of. I know it's a little controversial, but he always resonated with me, is Arnold Schwarzenegger. We recently had his daughter on the show, so hopefully we're getting a little closer, but I just wanted to put it out there. In the beginning, in order to get big guests on the show, and this is going to be huge, and this is really a cheat code for sales in general, you want to be able to create a win-win scenario. So if I'm reaching out in the beginning, before they're my friends, to Ed Milet or Alicia Silverstone or Rob Deerdack or anyone, they're very busy cats. I know that. So how can I create a win for them? Well, I was building a community relentlessly, and I have a really loyal, engaged audience. So if one of those jugs, as I like to call them, the juggernauts, were to stop by and give me their time to be on the show, what's in it for them is they're going to have a community just like this one that are now going to be supporting, following, possibly getting involved with the things that the guest has going on. So that's creating a win-win. Another thing, we've built a really strong reputation of having some of the best episodes on the planet, just by going really, really deep and being able to build a rapport. I'm really big on connecting. As you guys can see, I'm not distracted. I'm really mindful right now. I believe that mindfulness is the portal to expansion. And it's another cheat code is to not worry about anything else 20 minutes from now or an hour ago. Just be super in the moment with you guys. And that creates really meaningful conversations. And then people begin to talk and like, wow, I really enjoyed that episode. They're more inclined to share it when you post it. And then from there, start building a buzz and so forth. So those are two great ways to build a show.
Who else? Anybody have a question? Because I wanted to do, what do we got? Let's see here. We got 8 minutes. One thing I really wanted to do, and wow, what great topics to talk about, is I really wanted to, maybe I'll call on everybody and just share one thing from this call that you're going to let go of, right? Like one thing from this call that you are making a commitment. You're putting it into the universe. There's accountability. You got your brother and sisterhood in here, right, to support you, to be vulnerable, to hold you accountable. What chain do you want to break and move to that next version of yourself to take that courageous action? So is it cool if I just run through and be quick, guys? Don't go into a long story. Just bang, shout it out, make that commitment. Hoff, I see you raise your hand. If you want me to call you next, raise your hand. If not, I'm just going to rip through everybody.
With what he was talking about with being vulnerable and authentic, I have a pretty interesting life right now, and I don't post much of it on social media. So I definitely have to be more me and kind of let the world know what's going on, and so they can relate as the fatherly figure, the movement stuff, and long days. I think it'll resonate with people if I can just be more out there with it.
Got it. All right, be more out there. Patrice, Jim Turpin, I see you raise your hand. Let's go, baby. I love when you get into it.
Yeah, man. So I have about half a dozen things sitting on my desktop right now to go to compliance for advertising and other social media posts, and I'm just going to throw them over the edge and let them tell me what's wrong instead of trying to really refine it and get it through the first time. I'm chucking it over the edge today by lunch, and Matty Ram and I have a meeting at 9 o'clock, and after I get back from that, they're all going overboard.
Love it. Good son. I love your meeting with the Harvest members. Who else? Who else? Come on, let's get vulnerable here. Christine, let's go. I see you. Then we'll go to Patrice.
Love Christine.
I really think just letting go of what others think so you can execute was a really good one. And Craig, mindfulness is the portal to expansion. Awesome. Just so many great things in a row. You're amazing. Appreciate you.
Awesome. Beautiful. Patrice, let's go. What we got?
Hey, taking things personally is a definite thing I need to let go of, no doubt.
Love it. Let's go to Andy. What do you got? Quick, let's go.
Yeah, the vulnerability, man. I feel like just posting a little bit more about the mistakes and things that I make, maybe on a daily basis, might heighten awareness for people.
Beautiful. Alan Anton, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, man, great call. Thanks, guys. Just taking the kids to camp. Needing to be perfect. Out there just trying to create content in my own brand, and it's all about always trying to think I have to be perfect. So I know I don't have to be perfect. Just get it out there. Show up.
Let it go, dog. Let it go. Dr. Ernest, let's go. What do you got? You're on mute. Dr. Ernest, you're on mute.
Yeah, I'd say waiting for the right time. Definitely been guilty of paralysis by overanalysis. It's time just to say yes and just see what happens.
Beautiful, beautiful. Mr. O'Brien, I see your hand raised. Let's go. Get it off your chest, baby. What are we letting go of?
Good morning, brother. Two of them for sure. Needing to be perfect, I struggle with daily. No doubt about it. And taking things personally is something I also struggle with daily, and I go down a vicious cycle sometimes with it. So, two of them.
Love it. Let's go to Tyler. What are we letting go of? Big T? I know you're crushing a lot of stuff right now. What are you letting go of?
Yeah, I think showcasing the struggles. Like a lot is, as you said, I'm crushing it and everything, but I don't, and that's because you don't see the struggles, and sharing that more, I think I need to do.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Let's go to Mr. Tim Jennings. And speaking of personal brand, who's, as Craig would say, on fire. What's one thing you want to let go of right now, Tim, that'll help you go faster?
I don't think there could be one. I think it's a combination of all of it, taking things personally, trying to be perfect. I love the idea of showcasing more struggles. The brand's doing great, but to be frank, to be honest, Telecorp has not been doing great in 2023. In the beginning of the year, we lost a big client. So, that's the biggest vulnerability I've expressed since January 1st. So I will tell you this. I'll commit to this. I know this for a fact. I'm going to be starting a podcast. I've talked to a few of you guys about it, and it's coming up in the next probably next 30, maybe 45 days tops.
And I know you will. From your track record, from who you're becoming and transforming into, there's no doubt in my mind that you will. Miss Kelly Harris, I see you got your video on. Let's go. What's one thing you're letting go of?
Having to be perfect all the time. I start so many Facebook posts and then I erase it. Sometimes because I don't have enough time to finish it. And then other times I'm like, I'm oversharing. I don't want to put myself out there like that. So I got to stop with that.
Good stuff, Kelly. All right, guys, we're up at it, 8 o'clock. Craig, so the book is being published August 15th. Please send me a link. I'm going to pre-order a bunch. Hopefully everybody in here will do some fun giveaways. Guys, what I want you to do too, to support Craig, as he just talked about, guys, drop on your pages, Instagram, Facebook, take a screenshot of this or whatever. What's one thing, what's your one action, what's your one nugget that you got from this? Tag the harvest, tag Craig, right? Put it out there in the universe, right? Let people know, share Craig, let people know what you're about. Share your nugget, impact people. There's a lot of things that we learned on this call that we can impact other people with. Let's be the ripple effect. Post it out there, tag the harvest, tag Craig. Craig, any lasting words before we get off and order your book?
Yeah, I love you guys. Thank you, especially you, Devin. I'll drop the link. I see a bunch of you pre-ordered it. Don't forget to go back to the site and input your name and confirmation number so you get added to the launch team with all the bonuses. And then I wanted to honor you guys in another way. For those of you that for whatever reason aren't joining the launch team, I want to also drop in the chat a different link to input your name and address, and I'll send you a complimentary book on me because I want to honor how engaged you guys were today. So there's 2 links in the chat. One is the launch team. Go back, input your name and confirmation, and one is just for a complimentary book on me. Take a screenshot for sure right now. I will restory every single one. Thank you guys for creating this space today. This was awesome. I'm fired up. And it was just awesome to be here, guys.
Guys, follow Craig on Instagram. You will consistently see everything that he's doing, get golden nuggets, see his amazing guest speakers. And Craig, one thing I want you to hold me accountable for is I'm going to go out to New York. I'm going to buy you lunch, buy you dinner, man. I definitely want to get some face-to-face with you. It's long overdue, man. I appreciate you. You're an inspiration, brother, and keep going, man. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, brother.
Craig.
Thank you, guys. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.
Guys.
Great.
Bye, guys.